We begin with breaking news in the Matt Gaetz sex crime probe. Republican official Joel Greenberg in court today pleading guilty to 6 federal charges, including sex trafficking of a teen. The confession completes a swift fall for the one-time local Republican power player, who now entered the Orlando courtroom reportedly in a blue jumpsuit, shackled at the wrists and ankles, affirming his guilty pleas on record. A move that ensures he will spend years in prison, but also far less than the maximum he could have faced on all the original charges if convicted. Greenberg looking pale and splotchy, turning around several times to look back at the small crowd who had come to watch the hearing, as Washington Post reporters documented that scene today, which marks Greenberg's lowest point. And the feds say they got more than just today's guilty pleas. They say in court, so quite officially, they got his full cooperation to recount everything that he knows about what is now a convicted sex crime conspiracy, and thus to help any other prosecutions. We know this blockbuster case led the feds to probe Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz. He is the MAGA congressman who has been facing increasing scrutiny while also publicly fighting back and issuing denials that we've reported on. We know the feds took his phone. And we know Greenberg claims to have evidence directly on Gaetz, alleging he paid for sex with multiple women and a girl who was 17 at the time. That's according to a letter obtained by the Daily Beast that NBC News has not verified. We don't know yet if the feds deem those accusations specifically about Gaetz to be credible. We don't know yet, whatever we think of the emerging picture. I have to give you the precise legal scenario as it stands. We just don't know yet if the feds think that type of stuff, the letter or information pursuant to it, could be used to actually indict Gaetz. Now, whatever Greenberg's team thinks on this momentous day in this volatile case, well, Greenberg's lawyer was not saying much.
Mr. Greenberg has pled guilty pursuant to a plea agreement. It has certain requirements and obligations on him, and he intends to honor that.
Others are talking more, though. 2 witnesses reportedly accused Gaetz of doing cocaine with an escort he met through Greenberg in Orlando in 2019. And in a brazen move that Gaetz might appreciate for political theater if it were about someone else, an apparent critic here outside the court flying this plane with that banner, TikTok Matt Gaetz. And it's not a social media reference. It is a kind of dark but purely speculative warning that perhaps Mr. Gaetz would be next, according to whoever's flying the banner. This was the increasingly wild scene as Greenberg's lawyer continued to evade any hint of confirming anything today about what may come next.
What does this mean for other people that are not named specifically in the plea deal, but are mentioned?
Well, you'll just have to draw your own conclusions on that.
What does this mean for Matt Gaetz?
Pardon?
What does this mean for Matt Gaetz?
You'll have to ask his attorneys on that.
Joining me now is NYU law professor Melissa Murray and Erin Gloria Ryan, a Daily Beast contributor and host of the Hysteria podcast. Thanks to both of you for joining. Professor, these are very serious felonies. There is now no legal doubt about them. The government and the now convicted defendant, Greenberg, came to this agreement. He pled guilty in open court. What does today mean?
Well, so we know that Mr. Greenberg has in serious jeopardy. He has exposed to about 33 different charges. He's pleaded guilty. That suggests that the deal will have serious cooperation requirements for him. He will have to provide substantial, serious disclosure of the investigated areas that the government is interested in at this point in time. And so it's a big deal for him to have done this. He's going to be working with the prosecutors. He's likely not going to be sentenced anytime soon. Typically, they would like to see the cooperation go forward and have the individual cooperate as fully as possible. So it may be a long time before we actually see him sentenced, and that means he may have a lot to say to the prosecutors.
Erin, I'm going to bring you in, and I have to do a little bit of technical housekeeping, which is I hope people could hear the professor, but I couldn't. So I'm just mentioning that in terms of technical difficulties. So I can't respond directly to anything that was said, and I just want to be transparent about that. But go ahead, Aaron.
Well, as the professor mentioned, these crimes are very serious. I read through the entire plea deal today, and it really feels like if it were a fast food value meal, it would be called the scumbag special. Greenberg has pled guilty to everything from stalking to identity theft. He stole the ID of a guy who sold him a boat. In addition to all the sex crime stuff, he stole other people's IDs in order to facilitate his performing sex trafficking type behavior. But I think all of this stuff brings into relief just what a hot mess the current House GOP caucus is. Matt Gaetz still sits on the Judiciary Committee. He has not been disciplined in a real way while he's in the midst of this huge investigation. And it looks like, the clock is ticking for him. Every week, it seems like we cycle through another House Republican who leads the kind of scumbag power rankings in the House, and nothing is done about them. And so, this is a serious issue in Florida politics. This is a serious issue also for the soul of the Republican Party.
Yeah, and you mentioned how this is playing more widely and just what the tolerance level is among Republicans. Gaetz has been out there, if anything, playing the role, whether he believes it or not, of some kind of enforcer. Here he was just over the weekend.
I'm being falsely accused of exchanging money for naughty favors. Yet Congress has reinstituted a process that legalizes the corrupt act of exchanging money for favors through earmarks.
Aaron, and then Professor Murray, this is sort of an attempt by him to put this in a wider context of him accusing others of things or making some sort of false equivalence. But as you mentioned, Aaron, this is not someone who, despite facing a second ethics investigation, is yet being dealt with in any particular way by the Republican Party.
Yeah, and I also think his use of the phrase naughty favors is very dismissive, because this is a serious case. The Greenberg case is a serious case of serious corruption. There's a lot of money that was moved under false pretenses that wasn't his to move. Greenberg admitted to using money that he basically stole from the coffers to buy Bitcoin, which is something that was also used to allegedly facilitate some of this sex trafficking. This is serious stuff. This is not naughty favors. This is an elected official who is admitting to completely abusing his office. And, the allegations that are out in public appear that Gaetz was in one way or another involved.
Professor?
Well, it's important to recognize that Representative Gaetz has not been formally charged with anything. This investigation is still ongoing, and certainly Mr. Greenberg's cooperation will be important in that. But as Aaron suggests, the optics of this are not terrific for anyone who is involved. And again, it's worth thinking about what we've seen over the course of the weekend from the Republican Party. We've seen Liz Cheney, one of the few women in leadership in the Republican Party, ousted from her seat for simply registering some skepticism about the prospect of the big lie and the need for an insurrection on January 6th. And here we have quite significant allegations that may later lead to charges, we don't know, but quite serious allegations that have not registered with any kind of approval from anyone in leadership.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.